Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. As always, I'm your host, Nick Robin, and we're going to start today where we started last week, and that is with Hinge Corner. So I told you last week about the girl that messaged me on Hinge asking where I lived, what kind of car I drove, and that in the end, she didn't want to hang out with me because she didn't fuck with Honda Civics. Who doesn't fuck with Honda Civics? They're really great cars, super efficient. They can go for probably 300 plus miles almost, have great gas mileages, and I mean, at the end of the day, it gets you from point A to point B. But again, moving on. So this girl, let's just call her pretentious bitch. Okay, sorry, no, let's call her pretentious chick. So pretentious chick, she wishes me a happy birthday on Friday. So my birthday was on Friday, as I mentioned a couple times on the last pod. And so she wishes me a happy birthday, saying, hope this is the best year yet, and super nice. And I got a couple, I would say 150 to 200 messages on my birthday, so I didn't have time to get back to everyone right away. So I don't respond, and Sunday night she messages me saying, so rude, I'm not trying to F you. Goes at me a couple more times and then says, are you mentally intact? And I'm like, is this woman serious? Is she really calling me out because I didn't respond to her birthday message? So I let it be, and I'm just like, okay, I really need to block this girl on everything. Instagram, Snapchat, phone number, because she's starting to kind of scare me. Like, girl, sorry I didn't respond to your birthday message. That doesn't give you the opening to call me mentally challenged, which is totally inappropriate, especially in this PC culture we live in today. So, yeah, that is your Hinge Corner for today. Pretentious girl strikes again. So, moving on today's show, I will discuss the Rondo injury and its effect on the Lakers' playoff implications, then a deep dive into the most important rivalry in NBA history, and I'm talking Bird and Magic. And then on Knicks picks, best NBA references and rap songs. But first, a look at the Russell Westbrook's positive COVID-19 test results and how the Rockets' playoff chances look moving forward. So, yesterday, Russell Westbrook took to Instagram with the post saying, I tested positive for COVID-19 prior to my team's departure to Orlando. I'm currently feeling well, quarantined, and looking forward to rejoining my teammates when I'm cleared. Thank you to all the well wishes and continued support. Please take this virus seriously. Be safe. Mask up. # why not? End quote. So Russell Westbrook hadn't reported to Orlando yet. Neither has James Harden. So the two best players on the 6th seed in the West are MIA. Which isn't good because the season starts in 16 days from today. But luckily, you only have to be quarantined 14 days, which gives Russell, I guess, 2 days to come back, which I don't know how that's going to fit into this scenario. So what does Russell Westbrook's positive test mean for the Rockets? So, as I mentioned, currently tied for the 5th spot with the Thunder. They're both 40 and 24. They're only 2.5 games, though, behind the 3rd-seeded Nuggets. And I think right there, that 3 versus 6 seed would work out great for the Rockets, because I think if you look at it, if you put all the players on the court, Westbrook and Harden arguably represent the 2 best players on the court in a series like that. I mean, yes, Jokic is very good, and he's better than good. He's phenomenal. But when you have Westbrook and Harden on the same floor against a Nuggets team that, honestly, I don't think anyone on their team can defend either of those players, it's a good matchup for them. So either the Rockets slip into the 3 seed or they stay back in the 6 seed. I think that's a good first-round matchup for them. But really, how much time is Russell Westbrook really going to miss? So he came out yesterday on July 13th that he had COVID, but he might have contracted it a little bit earlier. According to an ESPN article, he only has to wait 2 days to fly to Orlando, but his teammate, Bruno accidentally goes out to get a Postmates delivery, and he has to quarantine himself 8 days. Makes no sense. But I guess when you're the best player on the team, or the second best player on the team, you get special privilege. So really, how much time is Westbrook going to miss? So it's supposed to be a 2-week quarantine. So let's say that he found out on the 10th or the 11th. So that gives him until about the 24th, 25th to get back in. So the chances of him being ready for the regular season is doubtful, because I feel like you're going to want to put him through at least a week of a minimized training camp, and you're not just going to throw him to the Wolves. So the Rockets, I mean, it's a major blow. You're missing your 1B from your 1A. 1A being Harden, 1B being Westbrook. And before the season got postponed, Russell Westbrook was on a tear. In his last 8 games, he was averaging 29 points a game, 8.3 rebounds, 5.8 assists, shooting almost 54% from the field, and even 40% from 3. His turnovers, though, per usual for his career, are a little high, closing in on almost 5 turnovers a game, which you never like to see a 1-to-1 ratio there. And really, what has changed for Russell Westbrook over the course of the last couple months? And it's the fact that he's been attacking the basket more and shooting long-range shots less. So since January 31st, he has averaged 19.2 points per game in the paint. That is the most in the NBA. Yes, more than Giannis, more than Joel Embiid, more than LeBron James. So very impressive there. And that's what the Rockets are all about. They're about efficient shots. And Russell Westbrook throughout his career has been an inefficient 3-point shooter. And that was what the issue was when Westbrook got traded to the Rockets. Was he going to be able to buy in to their game plan, which is shots at the rim and 3-pointers? And like I said, Russell Westbrook is an inefficient 3-point shooter. So before January, he was attempting 4.9 3-point attempts a game. So in October, November, and December, 4.9 3-point attempts per game. So nearly 5. Since January, he has averaged only 2.3 3-point attempts per game, which has done great for this Rockets offense that has gone small ball, extreme small ball. They have Westbrook, James Harden. They traded Clint Capella, brought in Robert Covington, Eric Gordon, then Daniel House, whoever they choose to fill in that 5th spot. But yeah, their starting lineup has nobody over the height of 6'7", which I think in the long run isn't going to work out, because eventually you're going to face a team with a 6'10", 6'11", 7-footer who's a stretch 4, stretch 5, who can shoot the 3, can guard multiple positions, doesn't have to be stuck to the paint like Rudy Gobert or Clint Capella. But I don't know, can a team really win a title when they're playing so small? I mean, it'll be fun to find out, but I really doubt it. But Vegas does give them great odds right now. They have 6-1 odds to win the Western Conference and 12-1 odds to win the finals. We have to remember there are only 22 teams left instead of 30. So the big question is, who is more important to the Rockets in their title run? Is it Harden or Westbrook? Let's begin with James Harden. So James Harden is averaging 34.4 points per game, leading the team. He's on pace to become the first player since MJ to average 30 points per game in 3 straight seasons. Very impressive. He is in very limited company. I mean, yeah, he's becoming only the second ever guy to score 30 points straight. I would say Wilt Chamberlain did it back in the 60s, but in the modern era, which I classify as 79-80 when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came to the league, very impressive company. So we have James Harden. He's the go-to scorer on the team. This is his team. He's the one who came here. He's the one who established his culture. Westbrook has come in. But what we've seen from Harden in the playoffs is he can't perform. He's come short time and time again, whether it was against the Clippers in 2015, when his Rockets team, when he slouched to the bench and his Rockets came back against the Clippers without him in the game to come back and beat the Rockets. They went on to go play the Warriors, where they got defeated 4-1. There was the last couple of years where he's played at, I'd say, an above all-star level, but it hasn't played at the elite level that we've been accustomed to in the regular season. So I think Harden can play the way he's played the last couple of years, but what we need is Westbrook to set up. And I look at it from the point of view of when they had Chris Paul and James Harden, they were up 3-2 on the Warriors. So we replace Chris Paul's productivity with Russell Westbrook's productivity. Is that good enough to make it and win the finals? So basically we're asking the question is, who is better, Russell Westbrook or Chris Paul? And like I said, we've seen Russell Westbrook make the adjustments he needed to make this season to get his team to that next level, which is not just getting to the Western Conference Finals, it's winning the conference finals and at least making it to the finals. And at the end of the day, it might not even be a question between Harden or Westbrook of who is more important to the Rockets' title run, but really the coach, Mike D'Antoni. Is he probed to winning championships? And from what we've seen, he's not. We saw it with the Suns, 7 seconds or less. They made 2 conference finals appearances, 05, 06, lost them both. As I just mentioned, the Rockets made the conference finals against the Warriors in 18 and lost up 3-2, lost consecutive games. So Mike D'Antoni continues to do this small ball lineup, the no Capella, adding Covington, Eric Gordon, to see if this is something that could win in the playoffs. We've seen it win in the regular season so far. They beat the Lakers early this season when they didn't put in one player over 6'7", which is absurd to me that a team can beat a bunch of professionals basketball is a game of height. We expect to see guys who are 7 foot, 6'11" on the court at all times. But the fact that you're basically playing with a team that's the equivalent of a really good high school team in terms of height and stature, and you're able to go out and beat the Los Angeles Lakers with Anthony Davis, with LeBron James, with Dwight Howard, is very impressive. So we'll see if the small ball lineup can last the season, or last into the season, into the playoffs, but my personal thought is probably not. But what we do hope to see is that Russell Westbrook returns healthy and all, because at the end of the day, he's one of the most exciting players in the NBA. And I love Russell Westbrook. I love the grit he plays with. When Durant left the team, he literally said, F Durant, this is my team now. I'm putting them on my back. I'm all for OKC. And he tried to show us that he could be a super duper star. And unfortunately, he never won more than 50 games with Oklahoma City. Never made it past the second round with Oklahoma City. So I don't know if I can put him in that elite stature of the top 10 players in the NBA, although he did average a triple-double for 3 consecutive years. But again, that's just counting stats, which at the end of the day, and we've seen it with LeBron in performances, the guy can put up stats, but sometimes you're not going to win the game, and that's what's most important is you play to win the game. So best of luck to the Rockets with the restart of the season. Almost 2 weeks upon us now, and after this commercial break, we will be going into the Rondo injury and what that means for the Lakers moving forward into the postseason. All of that and more right after this commercial break.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we're back. So we just discussed Russell Westbrook's positive COVID test. And fun fact here, so when I was the manager at San Diego State, one of the players went to Russell Westbrook's high school, and he told me that Russell Westbrook only dunked one time in high school. One time. And when he dunked, he barely got it over. And the reason I'm saying this is that just shows you that hard work pays off. Because Russell Westbrook is now probably one of the most, he arguably could be the most athletic player in the history of the NBA. I know that's a pretty big thing to say. I mean, if we're looking at the history of the league, Derrick Rose in his prime, LeBron James, of course, maybe a young Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Dr. J. I mean, all the other guys who were maybe just scrubs in the league that are super athletic. But yeah, Russell Westbrook, arguably one of the most athletic players in the league, only dunked once in high school. So, goes to show you that hard work does pay off over time. And now looking at Rajon Rondo, and it just looks like the Lakers just can't catch a break. So, into the second practice, Rondo comes out, ends up that he fractured his right thumb. It's going to require surgery, and he's now out 6 to 8 weeks. So what does this mean for the Lakers? More minutes to divvy up. We have Alex Caruso, who has an amazing plus-minus when teamed up with LeBron, even better than Rajon Rondo's. We have Quinn Cook, J.R. Smith, Kyle Kuzma, who hasn't had the best season thus far, has had to readjust with Anthony Davis coming in, kind of taking a back seat. He went from playing about 35 minutes to about 24 minutes a game. His scoring has dipped by about 6 points, which is understandable. I mean, you're not getting as many shot attempts. But the one thing is, with Anthony Davis on the floor and LeBron James, he should be getting better shot attempts. Outside of his rookie year, though, where he did shoot 37% from the three-point line, he shot right around 31%. So we'll see if he can take advantage of having more minutes with the absence of Rajon Rondo. And then, of course, the human edible himself, Dion Waiters. For all of you that don't know, he got suspended this year for taking weed edibles on a plane ride when he was with the Miami Heat. So which player is going to have the biggest impact from the absence of Rajon Rondo? And Honestly, I'm going to go with Alex Caruso. I think he's already a fan favorite at the Lakers, but I think he's played so incredibly well when he has been given the opportunities he has been given. So I don't know why they don't give him more minutes. I don't know if they don't think he's good enough, but like the numbers are in the pudding that he has been by far one of the best bench reserves for the LA Lakers this season. Quinn Cook has been unreliable at times. J.R. Smith, we really don't know what we're going to get from him. I mean, he hasn't been in the league for over a year now. For over a year. And then Dion Waiters, the guy's been in and out with suspensions, injuries. So Alex Caruso, I think, can have the biggest impact from the absence of Rajon Rondo. And now, moving forward to Frank Vogel, he was quoted saying, quote, "Losing Rajon is a huge loss for our team, but we expect Rajon to be a part of our playoff run," end quote. So I'm a little confused by that. Does Frank Vogel mean he's going to be physically on the court or more of a leadership role? From what I've read up on ESPN, that Rajon Rondo, similar to last season with Luke Walton, is going to be an unofficial coach to Vogel and his staff. And that's the one good thing. Rajon Rondo, he's been in the league a long time. He's now 34 years old. He's seen things. He won a championship with the Celtics in 07-08. He's led the league in assists numerous times. The guy knows a thing or two about winning games. And to be honest, I don't think this injury is as big of a deal as it's been presented thus far. I mean, this season, Rondo's only averaging 8 points, 5 assists on 20 minutes, which is good per minute numbers, but he's a below average shooter. He's a below average free throw shooter. He's a below average 3-point shooter. So from all three levels, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage, he's way below the league average. And as I mentioned, he's 34 years old. He's not a young chicken anymore. And yes, the Lakers are very weak at the point guard spot. That is why they have LeBron James manning the point, which is the first time he's done that in his career, and it's paid dividends as he is leading the league in assists per game with nearly 11 a game, which is incredible at age 35. Like, has there ever been a player who, for the first time in his life, has led the league in assists in his age 35 season, even for the first time in their age 32 season? So that's been a godsend, the fact that LeBron has been able to play at such a high level at 35. But how much longer can that really last? We've seen players like with Kobe Bryant, we saw him run out of gas at 34, 35, 36 when he was getting those injury after injury. With Jordan, he retired early. With Kareem, there was a little bit of rust when he was 35, 36, but he ended up having some great playoff performances still, and that's where I see the comparison most. Not LeBron and MJ, but LeBron and Kareem. LeBron is basically a small forward version of Kareem, where he has the early peak of the MVP peak of his career in that first 20, from age 20 to age 30, just like Kareem. He won all six of his MVP awards before he was 32 years old, similar to LeBron. And then we see him playing, and LeBron is currently in season 17. Kareem played 19-20 seasons and was basically an all-league player for the first 15, 16, 17 years of his career. So we've never seen anything. What LeBron's doing now, and more than likely he's going to make a first-team appearance this year. The fact that he's made a second team or better the last 16 years in a row is unprecedented. What we are watching now, and we should appreciate it, because there's not many times, and yes, he's not better than Michael. He'll never be 6-0 in the NBA Finals. But what we're seeing now is unworldly. The fact that a guy who's been in the league since he was 18 years old is still putting up the same numbers he did at 35 that he was putting up at 20, 21, 22 is remarkable. So kudos to LeBron in the point guard position, has been better than we could have imagined. And then going back to the negatives of Rondo is the guy just can't stay healthy. So he missed 36 games in 18-19, and he's set to miss 23 this year, 15 already, plus the 8 games he will miss with the resumption of the season. And yeah, I really don't think Rondo is that crucial of a player to the Lakers winning a title. We can have LeBron at the point. We can put J.R. Smith at the combo guard. Same with Dion Waiters. We can sometimes move over Caruso. He can take over point guard duties sporadically here and there. But the most important thing is the front line with Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis. And as long as Anthony Davis and LeBron are healthy, put any 3 guys next to them, and they have a fighting chance against anyone in this tournament. And we don't know what we're going into. I mean, everyone's been off for 3.5, 4 months. So it's going to be interesting to see who's healthy, who's going to pull a muscle, hasn't been taking care of themselves to the best of their ability. But we know one thing about LeBron is he invests a lot of money into his body year in and year out. And it's shown with how great he's been this season and the seasons prior. So I think the Lakers are going to be just fine going into the playoffs. Getting Dwight Howard to commit last week was a huge plus. And I think the addition of guys like J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters, although they've had not the best track records, I think they're going to get so many more open shots with people focusing in on LeBron, focusing in on Anthony Davis, that it's going to free up the perimeter for guys like JR, Dion, and Kyle Kuzma. They're going to have a lot of open shots, and all that matters for the Lakers to win a championship is they need to capitalize on those shots. So it's going to be interesting to see, and we've been talking about this for so long on this podcast about all the ifs, what ifs of the resumption of the season, but really we just want to see what's going to happen. So for now, it's all pixie dust. I can say whatever on this pod. Doesn't mean it's going to come true, but I just don't think this Rondo injury is going to affect the team too much. If anything, it's going to help them on the coaching side with a player like Rondo mentoring young guys like Caruso, like Cook, like Kyle Kuzma, giving them the confidence and the tips that a 4-time All-Star can offer. So essentially, it's the Lakers' title to lose this year, because if they don't win this year, it's going to be hell of tough to win next year when the Nets are reloaded with Kevin Durant and Kyrie. The Warriors are back to being the Warriors with potentially the number 1 overall pick that they could use with Andrew Wiggins to get a guy, a.k.a. Giannis. Not going to believe it till I see it, but crazier things have happened in the NBA. With Giannis coming back again with the peak of his powers with the Bucks. So the Lakers need to win it this year. This is their chance to win it. And if they do, hey, a title's a title, but LeBron won in 2011, 2012 in the strike-soaring season. He won the year after in that near loss with the greatest shot in NBA history by Ray Allen, and then the 3-1 comeback, which is probably the greatest finals victory any player can ever claim. So that's where I'm going to leave you. It's the Lakers' title to lose. After this commercial break, we will be discussing the most important rivalry, not just in the NBA, but in the whole landscape of sports. And I'm talking Bird versus Magic. We're going to be going into a high-depth breakdown of the two players' careers, what they each meant to each other, and the final question, who's better, Bird or Magic? So stay with us.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
So why am I talking about Larry Bird and Magic Johnson today on the podcast? Two guys that retired both nearly 30 years ago. But during the quarantine, I picked up on some reading, and a book I've been perusing these last couple weeks has been Larry Bird, Irvin Magic Johnson, When the Game Was Ours, with Jackie McMullen. And so far, it's been a great book. It all starts with Larry and Magic facing off in that historical 1979 NCAA championship game. So going there, that was the first meeting between these two future Hall of Famers in Salt Lake City, Utah. Undefeated Indiana State, led by Larry Bird, who averaged 30.3 points for his entire college career. That is crazy. I mean, we all know about Pistol Pete Maravich. He averaged 44 points a game for his entire career, but his dad was the coach and probably got the green light whenever he wanted. But still, the fact for someone to average 30.3 points per game for their entire college career is crazy. That does not happen. Like, J.J. Redick and Adam Morrison both averaged 28-29 for one single season, and that got huge media attention. But yeah, you don't see someone averaging 30.3 for 3 seasons. So Indiana State, undefeated, 33-0, going against Michigan State of the Power 5 Conference. So Indiana State doesn't get that same recognition because it's in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is barely a mid-major in today's world of mid-majors, Power 5s. And this game actually had the highest Nielsen rating of any game in the history of American basketball, and that still stands today. So, historical basketball game. Michigan State ends up prevailing 75-64. Johnson led all scorers with 24. Larry Bird came up a little bit short, shot 7-21 for 19 points. So, these two guys, so Larry Bird gets drafted the year before, 6 overall by the Boston Celtics. They wait a year. He comes in 79-80. The Lakers had New Orleans pick, which just came into the league a couple years ago from the ABA. They win a coin flip for the right to the number 1 pick from Chicago. So, look, sliding doors there. Imagine if Chicago gets the number 1 overall pick and drafts Magic Johnson. Then Michael Jordan maybe never goes to the Bulls with the 3rd pick in 84. Or maybe they still get the 3rd pick and they team up Magic Johnson with Michael Jordan. That's scary to think about. So let's look at these two players, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Larry Bird from small town of French Lick, Indiana. Magic Johnson from Lansing, Michigan. Both stood at 6'9", or stand at 6'9", and had a passion for passing and winning, which was very uncommon of the time in the NBA. The NBA of the 70s is not what it is today. It is not the multi-billion-dollar industry that we have grown to know and love. But we'll touch on that in a little bit. So both played below the rim and lacked athletic ability. Very uncommon to a lot of the athletes we see today, all playing above the rim, a.k.a. LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, all dunking all the time. It wasn't like that. They had a smooth kind of game, a way of making their teammates better. And they also both spent their entire careers with one franchise, Larry Bird with the Celtics, and Magic with LA Lakers. And looking at that, it is just, I wouldn't say the word is ironic, but just incredible how perfectly each of these players epitomize their hometown teams. So Magic was had that flashiness and that cool of the Showtime Lakers, and then Bird was that perfect blue-collar nature that so many people think of when they think of Boston. So looking at it, heading now into their career accolades. Bird is a 3-time champion, 2 times finals MVP, 3-time most valuable player award, winning in 84, 85, and 86. Only 2 other players in NBA history have won 3 consecutive finals MVP trophies, and that's Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. So only 3 guys in NBA history have won 3 consecutive MVPs, Bird being one of them. He's a 12-time All-Star, winning the 82 All-Star Game MVP, 10-time All-NBA selection, 9 times on the first team, 1 time on the second. He come away with 3 defensive all-second teams, which most people don't think of defense when they think of Larry Bird, and it's just incredible to see someone who lacks that pure athleticism that we see so many basketball players, but he was able to still perform at such a high level, even with the bad back and all the injuries that he dealt with throughout his career. So it really just shows that fundamentals sometimes win out over pure athleticism. And then he was a 3-time winner of the three-point shootout champion contest and is a 2-time member of the 50-40-90 club. So 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. And he won the 1980 Rookie of the Year by a landslide, but Magic did come away with Finals MVP in the championship that year, so I think he'd rather have that than the Rookie of the Year. And then 1979 National College Player of the Year and a 92 Olympic gold medalist on the Dream Team along with Johnson. So now looking at Magic's career accolades, he was a 5-time champion, 3-time Finals MVP, so 1 more than Bird, 3-time Most Valuable Player, winning in 87 and 89 and 90, 12-time All-Star, and a 2-time MVP of the game, 10-time All-NBA selection, 9 first teams, and 1 second, exactly like Bird. These two guys, I mean, Jesus, they're 2 peas in a pod. Outside of their differing personalities, they do share a lot of things in common, as we've already discussed. So we led the league in assists 4 times, 2 times in steals, and he did make the 1980 All-Rookie First-Team selection and was voted Most Outstanding Player in the Final Four in 79, winning the championship that he took away from Bird himself. So now we look at what matters most, and that's head-to-head matchups. So when these two players came out against each other, who was on top, and looking at the numbers, and as much as numbers sometimes lie, they usually don't. So regular season, Johnson went 11-7 against Bird and his Celtics. He averaged 19.4 points a game, 6.8 rebounds, and 11.5 assists. On the flip side, Bird was 7-11 in the regular season, averaging 21.7 points a game, 10.9 rebounds, and 6.2 assists. Now looking at the finals. So this is where it really matters. They face each other 3 times in the finals. Bird and the Celtics winning in 84, once again beating the Lakers. And at this point, leading up to the 85 season, the Lakers had never, ever beaten the Celtics in the NBA Finals. So think about how many ghosts, how much built up animosity is there for the Lakers against the Celtics. They hate the Celtics, but they have never beaten them. So in 85, Johnson and the Lakers finally take down the Celtics, beating them on their floor for the first ever NBA championship for the Lakers against the Boston Celtics. Again in 87, the rubber match, Johnson and his team comes up again with in game 4 with the baby hook by Magic Johnson, and then the near-made three-pointer that would have made it a 2-2 series, but instead, the near three-pointer by Larry Bird would have made it a 2-2 series, but instead, it rims out, giving the Lakers a 3-1 series lead. And in these finals games, Johnson was 11-8, averaged 20.7, 7.5 rebounds, and 13.5 assists. So all his numbers went up in the playoffs, which is what you want to see from one of the greatest players of all time. Bird, 8-11, 25.3 points a game, 11.1 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. Great, but not good enough. So I did a little simplistic breakdown here, but who's better, who's best, and I have to go with Magic Johnson. He's got more rings. 5 is greater than 3. He won in all head-to-head matchups, and I mean, what other argument can you have there? I mean, yes, Larry Bird was a better scorer, a better rebound, at times a better defender, but Magic Johnson, he made the finals 9 times. 9 times in 12 years. That's That is LeBron S right there. 9 finals appearances in 12 years, 75% of the time. So 75% of the seasons he played, his team was in the finals, competing for a championship. But let's not end here about who's better, who's best. Yes, I chose Magic here. But what's really important is the legacy and lasting imprint that these two players left on the NBA. So going to the finals. So from 1980 to 88, either the Celtics or Lakers won 8 out of 9 championships from 1980 to 88. From 84 to 1990, either Bird or Johnson won 6 of the NBA's 7 MVP awards. Their footprint is all over NBA history. And let's go into the history part now. So the league in 79-80 is not the same league we know of it as of today. Bird and Magic led to global expansion. Michael Jordan later on made it international, but Larry and Magic made it popular in the United States. Before Bird and Magic showed up, the league had an image problem. Cocaine. I hate to say it, but critics would say the league was too black then, which that hasn't changed at all, but that was the white America problem that they had with the NBA. NBA finals were on tape delay. They couldn't compete for eyeballs with the CBS network's primetime lineups. So the NBA finals would happen, it would be recorded, and it would be showed on later at night. Imagine watching a finals 3 to 4 hours later after it has already ended. Especially with social media today, that would be insane. So yeah, the NBA was so unpopular that CBS's sitcoms took precedent over the NBA finals. We couldn't even imagine a world like that anymore. And it's not only what they represented in the league, it's what they represented for America. Bird represented white America with the Celtics and Kevin McHale, Scott Wedman, and then Magic and the Lakers, they represented black America. I hate to make this a race thing here, but that is what these two teams represented during the 80s and early 90s when there was so much turmoil that is still going on today in America. In conclusion, Magic and Larry increased interest in not only the NCAA tournament, the NBA, but basketball as a whole. They turned the NBA into the multi-billion-dollar empire we now know of it today. And we have to tip our caps to them, because without them, there is no LeBron James, there is no Michael Jordan, there is no Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant. Without Larry and Magic, the NBA does not exist in the way that we know it today. That is all for now on Larry and Magic. I highly recommend going out to the bookstore and getting a copy of When the Game Was Ours, featuring Larry Bird, Irvin Magic Johnson, with Jackie McMullen. It's a great book. I'm more than halfway through it, and I've enjoyed every word and page of it. So, moving on to Nick's picks. After this commercial break, we will be looking at the best NBA references in rap songs. So stay tuned for that.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
So we just discussed the rivalry of Bird and Magic. two of the greatest players in NBA history that brought our sport to the forefront of America with their unselfish play and charismatic personalities, I would say, in terms of Magic. Larry, on the other hand, not as much as a showman that Magic was in his career, but nonetheless, these two guys marked a shift in what the NBA was. 79 to 80, they come in at the three-point line, and they elevate this game to a whole nother level, make it into a multi-million, billion-dollar industry, and it's great to still see us talk about them today. And I actually just listened to a podcast with Rob Lowe and Magic Johnson. It is hilarious to see two guys in their late 50s, early 60s talking about the good old days like it was just yesterday, when in reality, I mean, Bird and Magic debuted over 40 years ago, which is crazy to think about, especially to see how far basketball's come in just 40 years. Like, for example, Major League Baseball has been around 150 plus years. And the NBA has only been around since 1946-47. So to see the shifts that have happened in less than 70, 80 years is incredible. And I'm so excited to see how basketball evolves over the rest of my lifetime. Now, moving on to Nick's picks. And God, by far this certain topic was by far the hardest to research. So today I'm breaking down rap songs with the best NBA player references. And why rap? Because it's so synonymous with basketball. Ballers want to be rappers. Rappers want to be ballers. I mean, just look at Drake. He's courtside all the time at Raptors game. He's in the free throw lines at the Kentucky games. Unfortunately, he airballed. But yeah, I mean, rappers want to be in the action, and basketball players want to be in the studios. Just, I mean, for example, look at LeBron James became the first NBA player to A&R an album last year with the release of 2 Chainz, no pun intended, rap or go to the league. So that's incredible to see someone like LeBron use his power in the league to go and do something like a hobby, like producing a rap album. That's unheard of. I had to do a lot of research on this one, and I went through a lot of songs, and I couldn't include every single great lyric that's ever been thrown out there. But in terms of the criteria I went with here, I take a look at, number one, the player reference. The more obscure the player, the better. But in this case, I didn't really choose any lines that reference too obscure players, just for the audience out there. Number 2 is context. Number 3 is just the rhymes. So starting with my honorable mentions, I had to go with The Game featuring Tyler, the Creator, Martians vs. Goblins from 2011. And just so you guys know, for all the inappropriate words, I'm definitely, I'm white. I can't say the N-word ever. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to have to abbreviate and say N-word, insert N-word here, insert F-word here. So starting with The Game featuring Tyler, the Creator, Martians vs. Goblins, 2011. The lyrics goes, dragging all you F-words to the back of the log cabin, fall back like LeBron's hairline against the Mavericks. Great line, of course, referencing LeBron's meltdown in 2011. And this also has a hysterical reference to that little rumor about Delonte West and LeBron James's mom. So Tyler, the Creator, must have something against LeBron because he goes after him on more than one occasion in Martians vs. Goblins. Next song is, heck, I don't even know who the hell this guy is. Beanie Siegel featuring Jay-Z. Heard of that guy from the year 2000. Raw and Uncut. So again, I apologize for my lack of MC skills, but I'll try my best. So here we go. Me and Jay, same track, you gotta be kidding. It's like that N-word Jordan, I'm Scottie Pippen. It's like Magic Worthy, Parrish Bird, and Stockton Malone. Shit, who gonna stop and hold this? Game like Doc and Moses, full court press, and The Rock control this. So, don't know much about Beanie Siegel, but he compares himself to a lot of second bananas that honestly I don't know if he's on the same level as a Scottie Pippen is to Michael Jordan's Jay-Z, or his Moses to Jay-Z's Doc, but hey, you got to give him credit. The lines are pretty catchy. So he might not be on the same level as a Worthy or a Parrish or a Stockton, but hey, Beanie Siegel, he makes my honorable mentions here on Nick's picks, so congrats to that. Moving on into Nick's picks, best NBA references in rap songs, beginning with number 5, Jay-Z's 2003 song, Encore. And here we go. As fate would have it, Jay's status appears to be at an all-time high. Perfect time to say goodbye. When I come back like Jordan, wearing the 4-5. All-time great lyric about an all-time great player from an all-time great rapper. You can't beat that there. Similar to Jordan, Jay-Z went through a lot of short-lived retirements, coming in and out. And I think this encore kind of encapsulates Jay's greatness, his ability to flow in and out of the rap game without losing that masterful touch. Similar to how Jordan retired twice, came back, and each time, I'd say besides that Wizards brief stint, he did come back the same old Jordan as he always was. Moving on to number 4, The Heart Part 4, off of Kendrick Lamar's 2017 album. So these lyrics go into the dual argument or drama between Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. As we know, after the 2016 playoffs, KD decided to take his talents to Golden State, the team that had bounced him and Russ from the 2016 playoffs when they were up 3-1. So by the time that Durant had left, there wasn't much time for Russell to team up with some other players, so it kind of left him in a tough spot. And as one of the, I'd say at the time, 5 to 15 best players in the world, Russ could have gone to a plethora of teams in order to get that championship hardware. Instead, he chose to stay course and stay in Oklahoma City, which got to give him credit for, although he did leave later on. He did stay there for 3+ years afterwards and tried his best to go at Kevin Durant. In retrospect, he kind of failed, not making out of the second round, but here are the lyrics from Kendrick Lamar and The Heart Part 4, 2017. Tables turned, lessons learned, my best look. You jumped sides on me, now you're about to meet Westbrook. Go celebrate with your team and let victory vouch you. Just know the next game played, I might slap the shit out of you. Great lyrics. Kendrick Lamar saying it out as how it is, as always. And despite Durant going to the Warriors, Westbrook never stopped attacking the basket and trying to will his team to victory. And that's what you got to respect about him. The guy's a dog, similar to Kobe Bryant. He doesn't give up. Doesn't matter who he's playing against. He's always going to go at you 110%. And that's why we love Russell Westbrook. The guy's a dog day in and day out. He's going to give you everything and more every time he steps on the court. So moving on to number 3, Kanye West's 2012 New God Flow. Another shout out to, well, actually, I guess this time a shout out to LeBron James instead of a diss the other way around from that Martians and Goblins song by Tyler, the Creator. So here are the lyrics. Went from most hated to the champion God Flow. I guess that's a feeling only me and LeBron know. As we all know, LeBron went to Miami with the decision in 2010, became this villain, was hated throughout the league. It all culminated in 2011 when he went up against the Mavericks and was embarrassed, not even able to body up little JJ Barea. Similar to Kanye West, who in 2009, he had the VMAs outburst where he went on stage during Taylor Swift's acceptance speech and kind of stole the show from her, saying that Beyonce's album was the best album not only of the year, but of all time. So the two can kind of, Kanye and LeBron can kind of relate to each other when it comes to kind of being hated and then ending up back on top, like LeBron did by winning his first championship, and how Kanye did by dropping My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy album a year later. So there you go. Number 3, New God Flow by Kanye West. Moving on now to Young Drake, 2010, Thank Me Now. This might be perhaps the most detailed and accurate of Drake's sports references. He's been known to have plenty of them on 0 to 100, back-to-back, draft day, but Thank Me Now has to be by far the most polished and I'd say perfectly embodies his career and compares it to the career of an NBA basketball player. So I think he had a really nice touch here. So I'm going to begin now. I can relate to kids going straight to the league when they recognize that you've got what it takes to succeed, and that's around the time that your idols become your rivals. You make friends with Mike, but got to AI him for your survival. Damn, I swear sports and music are synonymous because we want to be them and they want to be us. As I said earlier, rappers want to be ballers, ballers want to be rappers, and Drake perfectly put that together of how it feels to get to the NBA, how it felt when he got to this point in his rapping career. Idols became your rivals. For example, him and Kanye had beef over time. And same could be said for LeBron when he came to the league. Kobe ended up becoming his rival. So there you have it, number 2. And before I go into number 1, we will look back at Nick's picks with number 5, Jay-Z's 2003 Encore. Number 4, Kendrick Lamar's 2017 The Heart Part 4. Number 3, Kanye West's 2012 God Flow. And number 2, Drake's 2010 Thank Me Now. And lastly, we are going a classic here, and it's Ice Cube's It Was a Good Day, year 1992. And here we go. Get me on the court and I'm trouble. Last week fucked around and got a triple-double. Freaking N-words every way like MJ. I can't believe today was a good day. So, like in the music video, Ice Cube's going along his day in the streets of Compton, hooping on the basketball court like he does. Gives a little shout out to MJ, who was on his way to his second consecutive NBA championship back in 1992. So there you have it, guys. That's your Knicks picks for this week. Wrapping it all up again, honorable mentions, Tyler the Creator, Martians vs. Goblins, Beanie Siegel featuring Jay-Z, Raw and Uncut. And then going into the top 5, Jay-Z, Encore. 4, Kendrick Lamar, The Heart Part 4. 3, Kanye West, God Flow. Number 2, Drake, Thank Me Now. And number 1, Ice Cube, It Was a Good Day. That's all we have for today's show, folks. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And before I let you guys go, just want to let everyone know, as always, to stay positive. I know it's a tough time right now. San Diego just went on shutdown again. Luckily, we do have outside dining, so it's not as bad as last time before. But remember to stay safe, stay inside if you need to be, and if you go outside, wear a mask because it does save lives. Thank you for listening to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. As always, I'd like to remind you to please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review because that helps us out. Also, if you can, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, and have a good night.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.